Welcome to AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. Educate. Celebrate. Connect. Arizona Hispanic Connection.
Good morning. Good morning. This is AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection, with another important show. I have the best job in the world, and that is to provide education and information. Knowledge is power, and every bit of knowledge that we can get will help us, I think, to navigate the system. We have a system, we have an economy, we have an educational system, all kinds of programs and that we need to navigate. And I think the more information that we have, the better. The subject today is education. I asked 6 people. I gave them an assignment. And the assignment was to go and get the report card, right? We're going to talk about education. So I said, would you mind going and acquiring the report card of Latinos in education in the various institutions? We're going to have people from addressing the K through 12, the community colleges, and then the main universities. We're not going to be able to cover them all, but we have ASU, GCU, NAU, and we have someone on the phone that will cover U of A. So we have the main universities covered here, represented. So what I would like to do is, and again, this idea was to bring the report card. I understand that Latinos are making lots of progress in education. So we said, why not get the report card? The report card is the grade. It shows you what classes you have, what grades, and so on, your GPA kind of thing. So let's get started. Rather than having me introduce all of you at the same time, why don't we start with the first speaker? I'm going to give the platform for up to 8 minutes, if you need them all, but you don't have to. And just kind of tell us the landscape of Latinos in the institution that you represent. So as I ask you to take your turn, you can tell us your name and your title, who you represent, and then go right ahead and share with us. First of all, we have Nora Gutierrez. I'm going to speak from my mind, see if I can remember all the names, okay? But if not, I have all the names and information on my computer. So Nora, thank you so very much for making time. I know Corina Madruga was supposed to be here, and at the end you worked it out.
I am the very proud superintendent of Tolleson Union High School. President Madruga was not able to be here today.
Got it. Tell us, first of all, K through 12, I understand that from K through 12, Latinos are now a majority. Am I correct on that? Or are we getting there?
Yes, we're a very proud majority. Mm-hmm. In Tolleson Union High School District, we serve approximately 11,500 students, and of those students, 80% are Latino.
Wow, 80% in Tolleson.
Correct.
Okay. And so is the information correct then overall in Arizona, this is mind-boggling, isn't it? That K through 12 Latinos are already. I have some data here that we are about 30% in the state. I believe in Maricopa County, Latinos comprise 40% of the population. But to think that in K through 12 our children are already at least half, or if not more, that's mind-boggling. So what did you learn in the report card? We would have liked to see more of a broader picture, K through 12, but I think we can get a sample from Tolleson. Is a very, very representative, I believe, of several areas of the state. What can we learn from the report card, the 2018 report card of Latinos in education in the Tolleson area?
Well, as I shared, we have approximately 80% of our students from the Latino background. Specifically, we have 6 high schools in Tolleson. We have Copper Canyon, Tolleson, Sierra Linda, La Jolla, Westview and University High. And we cover 4 municipalities.
Okay.
Sierra Linda High School has our highest number of minority students, with 96% of our students being minority at Sierra Linda High School. The graduation rate for the state of Arizona is 78.01.
Now, this is high school graduation
for the high school
rate.
graduation.
So 78% are graduating. 78 out of every 100 students are graduating from high school. Is this
For
an
the
improvement?
state of Arizona.
From the state of Arizona. Is this an improvement from past years?
It is an improvement, but definitely not rapid enough improvement.
So you wanted to get it to obviously 100% if possible?
Absolutely.
Right.
So in Tolleson, currently, our graduation rate is 91.5%.
Okay.
However, for our
91.
Latino population, it's approximately 86%.
Okay. Those are still good numbers,
Yes,
very,
they are.
very good numbers. Yeah. Now, and I assume that at the high school level, there's a lot of activity happening in programs that prepare them and educate them for higher education. Am I correct?
Absolutely. Our focus, of course, our students are required to take the AC Merit exam, which is aligned to Common Core, which is really a blessing because it's a rigorous curriculum. And so our students don't all come to the starting line at the same place. So we know that in order to continue to improve our graduation rate, we have to provide interventions. And so we provide many interventions at the district level. And this year specifically, I challenged the staff to provide additional interventions. And so we decided to invite students and intervene as soon as possible, invite students to intervene if they were failing any of their courses during their fall week break, during their Christmas winter break, and during their spring break.
Right.
And there was some resistance because some thought the students would not want to give up their recess and come back to class to stay caught up. But I knew that wouldn't be the case. Our students, for the most part, our families aren't taking extensive vacations.
Right.
And we know for certain that anytime we offer educational opportunities, our families support that and send their students.
And I have to believe that at the high school level, it is clearly understood that that's a super foundational in the educational path, because if they don't do good in high school, even if they graduate, if they don't learn the things that they have to learn, then they go to the university perhaps not so prepared. So I have to believe that at the high school level, that is a very, very concern, and that you devote lots of attention to.
Absolutely, and we know that we have to intervene early. We can't wait until they fail.
Right.
We have to be proactive and prevent them from failing if we can. And we had over 800 students who actually attended those intersessions, and 511 of those students earned their credit.
Right.
Had we not offered them, we would have definitely had those students behind
Overall, Nora, how do you feel about the Latino communities in K through 12, particularly in your area?
I feel that our Latino community is an extremely nurturing community. They definitely care and have passion about their students and about their education, because we've had the opportunity to provide more experience and knowledge with our communities, specifically with our partnerships. I'll highlight some programs that we partner with ASU. The TRIO program we brought on this year targeted 500 freshman students who they are targeting to keep on track and to push towards college going. We have the American Dream Academy. We had over 874 parents and students. That program before targeted non-English speaking parents. I worked with ASU and asked if we could offer that program to all of our parents, because for the most part, we are first generation college going community.
Right.
And so those programs have been extremely successful.
Thank you, Nora. And because of time, we're going to have to move on. But then hopefully at the end, we can come back to you. And please feel free to engage. Diana Villanueva Saucedo is your full name. You represent the community colleges. Go right ahead.
Thank you, David. So my name is Deanna Villanueva Saucedo. I'm Director of Community Engagement for Maricopa Community Colleges. Maricopa Community Colleges is a system of 10 separately accredited institutions. So we cover the entire Maricopa County Valley, serving over 200,000 students annually. Just to give you a snapshot in terms of recent success, we've had over 6,000 students graduate with either an associate degree or certificate this last May. We celebrated our largest Hispanic convocation with 300 students crossing the stage and families celebrating. It's important, I think, to frame educational attainment, particularly at the community colleges, given a national perspective. And so when you talk about Latinos and success, we're seeing great success, lower dropout rates, higher college attainment. We're really reaching great markers. Now, that's not to say that there's still a persistent achievement gap. And so that's where we're working to close that gap and make sure that all of our students, regardless of where they come from, wherever their starting point is, that they have access to quality education. And for national trends point out that for students of color, for underserved communities, community college is their first access point. So that is a majority of students that we serve. Out of our entire number of graduates, for example, 3,387 were first-generation students. Over 2,000 will transfer to a university. We have very robust partnerships, transfer partnerships with our public universities as well as private. And over 100 of our graduating students were DACA students, so we would be remiss not to mention that population as well. In terms of educational goals, 40% of the students that we serve have an intent to transfer to a university at some point in time. In terms of graduation rates, not all of them will graduate from Maricopa because they accrue credits and then transfer over. We're working on some programs for reverse transfer of credits to acknowledge the educational attainment that the students have reached in Maricopa, regardless of where they've transferred on to. Just to give you a couple of other snapshots, in the 2015-16 school year, more than 8,900 students with 12 or more Maricopa credits earned a bachelor's degree from an Arizona public university. So we are one of the major pieces in our educational pipeline, again, especially for first-generation students, students of color. And many of our students, it is not a typical snapshot any longer. We have students that are working, they juggle family responsibilities, home responsibilities, and multiple life issues. And I think that's very typical in terms of our Latino students. And so when we have students that need extra support, it's not typically because of academic issues, it's a lot of life issues. So we're working really hard on robust partnerships with a number of different nonprofit providers, certainly our educational partners, to make sure that students are getting this extra assistance that they need and making sure that they reach their educational goals.
Thank you. We're going to have to go on our first break, but let me just say that the population in Arizona has reached 7 million. I just heard it this week. Unbelievable. 7 million. Phoenix is the fifth largest city in the U.S. Maricopa County is the fourth largest county in the U.S. with 4.3 million people. We are in a very strategic place in the country. Stay with us. This is AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection. We'll be right back.
Welcome to AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection. Educate. Celebrate. Connect. Arizona Hispanic Connection.
Thank you. Thank you for staying with us. This is AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection addressing education, Latinos Report Card 2018. So we also asked Dr. Marla Franco from U of A to get the report card from U of A, and we have Dr. Franco on the line. Are you there, Dr. Franco?
Yes, I am. Good morning, David. Can you hear me all right?
We hear you perfectly. Thank you so much. We understand you're out of state, and I am so thankful that at the very least you are able to join us by phone. Welcome. And please go right ahead and tell us about what we can learn from the report card on Latinos education at the U of A.
Yes, thank you, David. Well, I think that your inquiry is so incredibly timely. Essentially, the University of Arizona went through the process of culling together its data and its institutional narrative around supporting Latino students and actually had to submit somewhat of a report card to the U.S. Department of Education. And that occurred just earlier this spring, and that was in preparation for the university's designation towards Hispanic serving institution status. And so that was a federal designation that was recently awarded to the University of Arizona, its main campus, in April. April 2nd is when we had received this notification. And there's certainly a plethora of amazing things really to be sharing this morning, but I think what it comes down to is not only just the enrollment and access of Latino students into the University of Arizona. Essentially now 1 in 4 University of Arizona students is identifying as Latino. And so at the very least, we certainly are making sure that access to our institution and the enrollment certainly is reflective of, the rich landscape of the state of Arizona. But I think more so now what we're most excited about is oftentimes people ask our institution, okay, this status has come to be, do you feel some sense of relief or excitement? And most definitely excitement. But as I say, this is really the point in time where our institution gets to roll up its sleeves and say, okay, we've certainly, been enrolling these students, but how do we make sure that we're serving these students while we're here? And we've really begun to explore as an institution, even further in our thought process and in ways that we support these students. And so not only are we serving them traditionally, physically at our locations of our campuses, but we also have an online community in which we're serving these students. And so that's, I think, where we are engaging kind of that more kind of older, working, student who perhaps maybe has families and is trying to kind of juggle competing multiple priorities and providing them with access towards degree attainment. We also have a number of workforce-approved continuing and professional education courses that we're also providing in addition to our more traditional degree opportunities on main campus. And so sometimes people in our communities, particularly Latinos, are working for perhaps maybe just looking for those additional opportunities to kind of really be competitive in the workforce. And so we have nearly over 1,000 students who've been registered in the past 3 years with our certificate programs. And they come and they're wanting to learn how to code, for example. Maybe they're looking for a paralegal certification or a project management certification. There's even certifications that people are looking for to become experts in Spanish-English translation.
Right.
And so, we have certainly a number of those offerings that, are just really rich opportunities to really enhance kind of the workforce needs when we think about it from that perspective. And then you have the other perspective, right, where we're certainly not just waiting, at the front of our university doors for our students to come to us, right? We certainly are situated within our community as a land-grant institution. And so what is our responsibility and obligation for being out there in the community and really working with our K-12 partners and our community college partners to really make sure that the pathways that students have, that students and their families know that. And so we have also, coupled with that, several early academic outreach programs. We have a very successful program that's been acknowledged by Excellencia in Education a couple of years ago. So a nationally recognized program called College Academy for Parents. And so that one is a particular program that really identifies families from a value-added perspective, right? And so how are we, as institutions of higher education, also engaging the families? When we think about our Latino communities, right, how are those decisions being made about pursuing higher education, right?
Right.
Those are family unit conversations, family unit dreams, right, that also require, family planning. And so we have engaged, thousands and thousands of students and families within our local Sunnyside Unified School District, and certainly are looking to expand that program. One of the great opportunities that we also have is that we have new leadership on our campus. President Robbins, certainly, he's in about probably closing up almost his full year at the University of Arizona. And also with his leadership, I think just also has expressed a significant amount of commitment in continuing to provide support. He's very much excited, for example, about our Hispanic Serving Institution status. He's looking and wanting to find ways to be visionary about that designation and to really make sure that our university is embracing that status. And how do we learn best how to really optimize that status and working with our K-12, our community college, and our community partners, across the state.
Dr. Franco, a quick question because of time. In maybe 30 seconds, can you once again explain what this HIS designation means? Real quick.
Yes, so the Hispanic Serving Institution status, HSI, it is a federal designation that comes from the U.S. Department of Education. And essentially, universities who have 25% of their undergraduate enrollment as Latino, as well as some other indicators regarding socioeconomic status. So at the very least, they have to have 25% or more of that enrollment.
That is excellent.
Yes, and so we did achieve that most recently, and so we really are looking forward to creating a vision of how to optimize that status and fully embrace it at the University of Arizona.
Thank you so very much. I hope you can stay with us on the phone so that we can you can re-engage as we move forward in the conversation. Thank you so much.
Yes, I'll be here.
Thanks. Juan Rocha, I'm just kind of going to my left now. You represent ASU, correct? And if you can grab that mic, what does the report card show, for Latino progress at ASU?
So I think to give some perspective, I graduated from ASU in 1999. And so when I was there was, for example, one Latino fraternity. And today there's almost half a dozen Latino fraternities on campus on Greek life. When I was there was about 11% Hispanic students. I believe now it's about 21%. So this is the mid-1990s. And the issue back then was affirmative action. I remember President Kaur, I think it was, who went to the state legislature and talked about the importance of taking affirmative action in enrollment. And somehow we're still sort of in that because now we're dealing with DACA and deferred action and whether or not they get in-state tuition. And so I feel there's been a lot of progress, but at the same time, we still have a lot of ways to go. My role as the Vice Chair of Scholar Relations with the ASU Latino Alumni Association is that we're awarded $200,000 to distribute to scholarships to high school and incoming students who are transferring from the junior colleges. And we have several students actually from the Tolleson School District and also several from the Maricopa County colleges that are in our scholarship. And they get a full tuition waiver, which is approximately $10,000. So we have 20 students in our program. And I think the challenge is that right now we have 17 women and 3 men in the program. And what I've noticed is that there are more Latinas in college than there are Latino men. And I think that's a population that hasn't, even when I was there, it was almost still 2 to 1, and that's still something that hasn't changed.
So that's amazing. That's great from the Latina side, but then now the Latinos, we kind of have to.
Yes, so I'm not sure whether this is a structural or a functional issue of where that actually happens through the public school system. But it is a challenge and something that we want to address. So it's something that we want to reach out to more Latino males to apply for our scholarships. What we want to do is also encourage people from Northern Arizona because we don't have enough people from Flagstaff, Prescott, other areas like Sedona. We have many students from Yuma and the Metro Phoenix area, but we don't have enough from Tucson. And so we want to do a better outreach to get those students that come to ASU. And so part of what we also want to do is do mentoring. And so this year, we've had several students have gotten prestigious scholarships or internships. One of our students is actually interning in Wall Street out in Merrill Lynch. One of our students also was selected for the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute. We have several students who were selected for Teach for America. So we do a lot to encourage our students to take those steps, but we also want our students to also apply for also prestigious national scholarships like the Rhodes Scholarships, the Marshall Scholarship, the Truman Scholarship. I think Latinos don't understand that those things unlock doors to other areas that many of us would never have access to, and that's what we want to do as the Latino Alumni Association.
And I assume it's a process, because first, the thought of going to higher education is not there. Then it's there, and then you accomplished it, and then once you graduate, people are. But now, how about a master's degree? And now, how about a PhD? So it's. I assume it's a process, and it's not easy. When maybe you're first generation, it's more of a challenge to pursue even beyond the bachelor's, for example.
Well, what we want to do is recruit board members that actually have professional degrees. I'm an attorney by trade. I went to ASU, then I went to UCLA, and I went to the University of Chicago for a master's degree. So
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's great.
So I feel like I have a lot of social capital to explain to students this is the process to take the GRE, the LSAT. And we have also board members who have a doctorate in education, also in public policy. So we want to share that cultural, social capital with our students because there's a gap. Their parents may not, as explained, as first-generation students.
Right.
But we're in that capacity, and we want to be able to serve that population.
Definitely. We have to go on our next break. I just wanted to share just a little bit of data. Data is amazing. 325 million population in the United States. And Hispanics in the growth in the last year, the growth in 1 year, Hispanics made up 51% of the growth in the last year of the U.S. total population, which is amazing. Stay with us. This is AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. We'll be right back.
Welcome to AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. Educate. Celebrate. Connect. Arizona Hispanic Connection.
Thank you. Thank you for staying with us. This is AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection, a very important subject. We're basically reviewing the report card, the Latinos Report Card in 2018 in the various institutions of our state. We've gone through K through 12, the community colleges, U of A, ASU. We also have Grand Canyon University, GCU, and then we also have NAU. I am so glad, Ivy, you were able to make it. I had a hard. Actually, weren't you the one that helped me find somebody? Yeah, thank you, Deanne. I was asking for help. Hey, how do I get a representative from NAU? And thanks to Deanne, we were able to get Ivy, and we'll be with you in just a second. Angela Mejia, you are with GCU. How is your institution serving Latinos? How are Latinos doing in your institution? What does the report card show?
Yes, my name is Angela Mejia, and I'm one of the admissions managers for Grand Canyon University. I've been with GCU for 14 years. I started. I still remember going into the campus, and I think I was like one in like 4 or 5 Latinos in that university.
You mean staff or students?
Both.
Both.
Wow. We have grown a lot. We currently have around 28% Latinos on the university. We currently have at GCU 19,000 students, 19,500. So we have grown a lot. One of the things is that I think Grand Canyon University is in a very unique situation in the sense that we are a private Christian university. And one of the things that I like to do is educate the student as well as the parents about other opportunities that we offer within the university, educate them in, the difference between private and public universities. One of the things that I have noticed is that the first thing that parents as well as students is like when they hear private, it's I cannot afford it, you know, and that's far from the truth. We are very competitive when it comes to our scholarship opportunities. We don't have a in-state or out-of-state rate or international rate. We have the same rate that the students that
Across
are
the
in-state
board?
across the board.
Oh, interesting.
Resident students within Arizona as well as out-of-state, they have the same rate.
Now, do all private universities operate in the same way, or just your university?
I'm just speaking on behalf of Grand
Got
Canyon.
it.
I'm not too sure what other private
Right.
institutions do. And I know that one of the things with the university is that, like I said, we're very competitive in the scholarships that we offer. We give that additional opportunity for those students that, especially within the Latino community, because we have a lot of students that we work with that are either first generation students. One of the things that I take very pride on is helping and educating those families, because I get it. I'm from Central America. I was born in Nicaragua, raised in Honduras. My family and I, we came to the United States just like many families do, and that is for the American dream.
Great.
And, and when I'm able to speak in regards to the American dream, at least for my family speaking, is that getting that education that will help us open up the doors, And so that's something when I speak with a lot of the families and educate the families about what GCU is all about, I think that their guard comes down because they feel comfortable. But most important, when we talk about finances and we talk about the scholarships and everything that the university is offering, they feel more relief because they're like, oh my God, I didn't know that it's more affordable than I thought. We have not increased tuition since 2009.
Wow.
Yes.
Now, so I assume that just like every other university, you do your outreach at the high school level?
We do. We work a lot with Tolleson School District. As a matter of fact, before I got Tolleson used to be my district as a recruiter, and I love working with Tolleson.
Great.
Yes, great students. We work with a lot of students across the valley. I know that I have a team, and my team, deals with Central Phoenix, Peoria District, Agua Fria, and we have specific representatives that work with these schools to help the students and families know what GCU is all about. Not only in-state, but we have out-of-state too. We're growing out-of-state as well. So, it's just that opportunity for families to really continue with that dream, and we work on that.
Do you find it a little bit difficult to, I suppose, convey the message that it's accessible? Because this is private. So again, it's true. When you hear private, you always think of more expensive.
And that's what we're trying to break that barrier.
Right.
We're trying to be very transparent in everything that we do, especially when it comes to communicating with the families. I know that it's hard sometimes, because like you said, as soon as they see private, they close doors. But
Right.
no, we're like, no, really, take the time to meet with us. Let me go ahead and go over what we can help you. And once we go over everything, they're like, oh, wow, that's... I didn't think it was going to be possible. It is, but it is a possibility.
Just briefly, what do you think it is attracting Latinos to your university? I assume that many who are believers, Christians,
yes.
they will be attracted kind of naturally. Any other groups in general?
One of the things is that, like I said, we really try to do is really give everybody the same opportunity.
Okay.
When we meet, obviously we're growing in some of the degree programs like engineering that a lot of students are going into. We're growing in those engineering, computer science, nursing is huge as well, pre-med, education, business. So we're very competitive. I feel like in that area, trying to offer the same degrees as other universities. And our focus is to make sure that we are there to help them with their education
Of course.
choice. And we want to be, like I said, transparent and be able to present the same opportunities that other universities do.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you. Now let's go to Ivy Banks. And again, thank you so much. NAU. For some reason, NAU is in Flagstaff. Now, I assume you have campuses in other places or just there?
We do. We're in the Valley as well as in Yuma.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's my impression, but so I want you to help us to highlight your university, because for some reason there's always one or two, maybe three here and there. In NAU, we don't hear much about it. at NAU. But please go ahead and tell us about the report card for Latinos at NAU, Northern Arizona University.
Absolutely. So I am the director for the Office of Inclusion, Multicultural, and LGBTQIA Student Services. So from my vantage point, I work with students on both the academic and social to make sure that they are supported after they enroll at Northern Arizona University. We are considered a Hispanic serving institution emerging, so an emerging Hispanic serving institution. We have 23% of our students that are classified as Latino.
So you need 25, so you're almost there.
We're almost there, emerging
When
HSI.
do you foresee that this happening?
It depends on enrollment, right?
Okay.
So at this point in time, our focus is on making sure that we have our services and our support services specifically for our Latino students. So if we and when we reach that designation of an HSI, that we have the support services in order to support our students. So we're looking at our mentoring programs. We're also looking at our academic programs and our social side to make sure, again, that we have our students that are supported. This year, for over 25 years, we have celebrated our students through the Hispanic Convocation. One of our largest convocations, we had over 741 students receive their bachelor's degree this year. We also had 92 master's degrees and 9 doctoral degrees and almost 80 certificates that were awarded to our Latino students this year. So we're also seeing a growth with respect to students that are attaining their degree. So again, the focus is on how can we make sure that our students are supported. We look at that from different lenses. So our mentoring programs, we have a variety of mentoring programs that we offer the students. So from the social aspect, our STAR program, so students are introduced to the program before classes begin. So before classes begin, they are there. They are learning from their mentors. They're learning how to study, how to really transition into college. We also have our inclusion and diversity scholars, which are located inside of our residence halls, which also give our students different support and a different lens to be able to have those conversations of how do we make sure that we stay connected. We do early indicators for our students that are maybe having some difficulties as they're transitioning. We see early on their midterm grades. So we want to make sure that we reach out early enough so that we can take advantage of the academic support opportunities that we have for our Latino students.
Yeah, just help us understand. I understand that you travel to the Flagstaff area, or you live in the Valley.
I live in the Valley.
Okay.
I am in Gilbert.
Are you able to witness Latino activities, festivities at the university level? I believe that you have. I have a contact there. Amigos Northern Arizona. He has a magazine, and I get his magazine, and I hear Dia de los Muertos and Cesar Chavez. I assume that you have those types of celebrations at NAU in Flagstaff, correct?
Absolutely. So we have our Hispanic Heritage Month, which we celebrate throughout the campus. That's campus-wide activities where we bring in speakers and also make sure that we do cultural celebrations. We have partnered with Sodexo, which is our partnership with our food service team. And we have students that actually will provide the recipes to the Sodexo team that will bring those recipes and expand that to the in-campus. So during Hispanic Heritage Month, students are able to share those recipes, and you're able to come and enjoy them throughout the campus. We also have our Cesar Chavez Week celebrations. This year, we actually expanded that to a campus-wide initiative. So we had visible representation actually in our spaces, so the students would be able to see the work of Cesar Chavez and then encourage dialogue through that, as well as classes and our ethnic studies. And our ethnic studies faculty came in and gave different speeches about that.
Awesome. Well, this is the report card. I think it's great information, very encouraging. When we come back from our break, I'm going to pose some questions because I believe that though we are seeing much progress, I think there is still work to be done. And I think it starts from the conceptual and then practically getting ready for higher education. I usually tell my kids, graduating from high school is not, it's good, but it's not like everything. Did you learn? Did you get ready? Did you learn everything that you needed to learn that was going to get you ready for the next level? And not just focus on getting the C or the B or the A, but basically getting ready for the next steps in education. And that's why I think I overheard that there are some issues, where folks may graduate or young students may graduate, but not necessarily be ready for that load of study load at the higher level. Stay with us. This is AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection. Before we go on the last break, let me just give you a few more statistics are, again, Arizona population reached 7 million. Maricopa County is the fourth largest county in the U.S. with 4.3 million. Phoenix is the fifth largest city in the U.S. The Hispanic Latinos are 30% population in Arizona and 40 in Maricopa County. Hispanics are already a majority in K through 12 in Arizona. The average age of Latinos in Arizona is 24. We are a super young group, and at least 70% of Hispanics in the U.S. are U.S. born. At least 70% are U.S. born. Stay with us. We'll be right back. This is AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection.
Welcome to AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. Educate. Celebrate. Connect. Arizona Hispanic Connection.
Thank you for staying with us. This is AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection addressing education, Latinos Report Card 2018. We only have one more segment. I have several questions to throw at you, and let's make it kind of quick so that we all engage. Let me go back to Dr. Marla Franco. Dr. Franco, if there was a call to action, if there was a call to action for Latinos, what would it be?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. I would probably quickly have to say that, as much as we've highlighted some of the great work across K through 12 community colleges and four-year universities in the state of Arizona, this really is a call to action, I think, for all of us within the state of Arizona. And education and the advancement of Latinos in education is a state imperative and a national imperative. And so I think collectively we do need to continue to work to prioritize the educational needs of all students, but particularly of Latino students, so that they can see the various pathways that we've all presented this morning as realities for them.
Thank you. Any one of you, if there was a call to action, what should that be?
I think just to build off of the first call to action, that's entirely appropriate. It needs to be a community-driven priority. And as we were discussing during the break, for many of our Latino students who are first generation in particular, certainly our DACA community, there are a number of life issues. And so how do we support these students so that they persist and that they complete and that they graduate? And that has to be a community-driven priority.
What do you mean by life issues?
We have many of our students who are juggling family responsibilities, work responsibilities. We've worked with a number of students who are the primary breadwinners for their entire family. And so that requires a different set of strategies. And going back to earlier comments about how our young men, our young Latinos are pursuing a higher education. We have entire initiatives around male empowerment and how do we make sure that young men of color are reaching the same levels of educational success as our Latina students. And it requires community support and for this to be a community-driven priority. Given the statistics you shared about the sheer number of Latinos, that is our demographic shift.
Right.
If Arizona is supposed to be competitive economically and sustainable, it will require Latino college completion.
Right. Anybody else?
Yes.
A call to action.
Thank you. I would agree with that. Our students need to be engaged in rigorous courses, and that needs to begin prior to entering kindergarten. Speaking from the K-12 perspective, our students come in at different levels, and we need to accept them exactly where they are, but we need to provide the interventions and the safety nets that are necessary to ensure that they succeed. And those interventions and safety nets do not come in isolation just at the K-12 level, and that's why the partnerships with our universities are so vital. And I would like to share a story a young man shared, and because of him being partnered with TRIO, he was successful. He is going to go to ASU this next semester, but because of his personal situation, life does get in the way. His parents had to leave the state, left him alone at home. He said he had to learn how to cook, clean, wash, laundry, etc. But because of the support of the teachers, that he works with, his counselors, and his trio partnership, he is successful and he will be at ASU. It takes a village to raise a child.
Thank you. And you know, I worked on a concept. I'm sure you're familiar with TED Talks, and I wanted to develop a concept for Latinos, and I couldn't. I wanted to do Si Se Puede talks, and I ended up just calling it AARP Lunch and Learn. And we do have 4 a year. We're going to have one on June 27. My point is, are the young Latinos spoken to in a almost like a pep rally kind of thing where you inspire? Is this happening or not necessarily? Because I think it's a very good strategy to have people who can literally preach, who can literally excite and motivate. What do you think about that? I mean, I think it's kind of like more low key at a table. But I mean, is it happening in the high schools at all? Anybody?
So I think definitely, as speaking just from a community college perspective, we spend a lot of time partnering with local K-12 districts to promote educational access for all students, Latino students specifically. I'll give you one example of a pep rally. We have a partnership with Mesa Public School District, which is the largest school district in the state, and we help co-sponsor a Latino student conference every year. So this is a day set aside where we take them on campus at one of our local community colleges, provide them with workshops, information, keynote speakers, and again, it's very celebratory, but very aspirational as well, wanting to make sure that they know what their opportunities are for educational success and lifelong success.
Right. Go ahead, Ivy.
Absolutely. This year, we, as we focused on the community and that specific thing, inspiring and calling to action, we actually developed a Latino alumni group so that they would be able to give back and come back and be able to speak and inspire our students. We also had the Women of Color Symposium this year, and we brought in Latina women that were engineers, lawyers, doctors from around the state of Arizona and actually in California that can inspire students and talk to students about the pathways in order to move forward, in order to be successful after they receive their baccalaureate degree and going on to graduate programs.
Thank you. And you know, grab the mic. I just wanted to make a comment that I'm working on a show. I want to call it From Campesino to a University Student. Kind of like there's been a lot of cases where people were working in the fields and then they ended up going to university and being very successful. Just kind of success stories. Go ahead.
Yeah, to the question about people motivating. So what we do, we also bring in guest speakers to explain what they've done. So oftentimes the one we had recently, we talked about the empowerment of Latina women because we said, we have 17 Latinas in our scholarship program. And we talked to them about just also philosophy. For example, last year we had a person talk about the Black African-American thinker W.B. Du Bois, and he had this concept called the talented tenth. And at the time, he said that the top tenth of African-Americans would lead the rest of the population, and that would trickle down, and other people would be empowered by that. And although there's arguably some differences about, what the talented tenth is, it's something that we wanted to share with the Latina women because, as I told them, it's like you're going to be the population that's going to lead us out of the Middle Ages here in the state of Arizona. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like a lot of them felt empowered, that they had that capacity, and I think the message resonated with them. And I think that's more of that we need from people that are in this room, for example, because I feel like there's still a chasm and that population is not being reached.
Let me address another question, and anyone can feel free to engage. Obviously, we want the Latino community to do well individually, to get out of poverty. Education is the key, and then the families will be helped. But then there's another element. Who's going to pay for Social Security? Who's going to pay for Medicare? Who's going to pay the taxes? Who's going to pay for all the money that a state needs for the infrastructures and all that? So that to me is a strong argument that if this community is growing, it better be given the attention it deserves, because they are the ones who eventually are going to be the contributors to basically sustain the economy. How about that?
If Arizona is to be successful as a community, our Latino students have to be successful as a community.
Right.
Just because of the sheer demographics, the number of students that we have in our K-12 and higher education landscape, as well as the difference in age. So that is our population boom. There is such a difference in terms of median age, as you've already commented on. So again, if we're to be successful economically and long-term viable as a community, Latino student success has to be at the forefront.
Right. Dr. Franco, if you would like to engage again, This has to be a super, super important point about the effect that the Latinos being educated would have in the economy, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And I certainly echo the comment made previously. We certainly, there's a huge return on investment, to our statewide economic impact. And I think the Latino community certainly, is one that, with the opportunity to connect to the various educational opportunities that are presented here this morning, just in looking at data from the University of Arizona, we looked at students who completed their degrees in 2016. And over $2,009 million in estimated state tax revenue was generated by that class of students who were employed in Arizona. And if you think about it, Hispanic students accounted for 24% of bachelor's degrees that particular year. So one out of every $4 that was generated in state tax revenue came from a Latino student who earned their degree at our institution. Now, I imagine if you looked across at the representation that you have gathered in this room this morning, and we kind of did the math, can you think about the sheer statewide economic impact by really supporting and kind of nurturing and prioritizing educational attainment among this community?
Yes, thank you. Nora, go ahead.
Yes, David, if I may, I would like to highlight University High School in Tolleson. University High School was recognized in U.S. News and World Report as number 29 in the nation and number 10 in the state. And the reason I want to celebrate it is because I think too many times we talk about doom and gloom, and I think we need to celebrate constantly all the celebrations that all of our low socioeconomic minority students bring. And University High, we do not recruit outside of our district. They are students within our district who bring that label, and they're extremely successful. And we have many university high schools in every Latino community in all of our districts throughout the state of Arizona. And I think we just need to celebrate more all of the accomplishments, and so that we can change the conversation.
We didn't invite you simply because my two of my three children graduated from Tolleson.
Oh, awesome.
But they did. We are about to finish our show. I would just like to open it up for any final thoughts. If parents are listening to this show, if students, to me, this is an extremely important issue. And it is too bad, and we're not going to have the time to address the issue of funding. If we see the potential, if we see the contributions that this community is going to be providing, we would be dumping millions of dollars into the educational system because it's an investment. Isn't it an investment? So any final thoughts?
Yes. I know that just the support, just continue supporting your son or daughter. I think that's very important. It has to start also within the family.
Right.
That encouragement, that support, that you can do it. Let's do this.
Puede, right?
Exactly. We can do this together. Because, sometimes the students don't feel that support. They feel more of like, they don't see that their education is an investment for them in their future.
Right.
And I think that's very important. That needs to start from the family, of course, from us. Wherever they decide to go, just continue with your education because it's going to open up more doors. And I think that's the most important thing, especially for us Latinos, just opening those doors. You can have it for if you're the first person, son or daughter to go to college, you're opening now the doors for your siblings,
Definitely.
And so definitely do that. I just want to encourage the parents to continue doing
Thank you,
that.
Angela. And we'll end with that. And thank you to Dr. Franco. We had you over the phone. Thank you to every one of you who joined. Very important conversation. Obviously, this is not an issue that one would complete. It has to continue. Hopefully you enjoy the show. This was AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection. Have a great week.
Arizona Hispanic Connection.